everyone, my name is Claire and I make true crime videos every week. So if you're like me and a true crime follower, then please consider subscribing. This week I'm going to go all international again. So last week it was in Brazil and this week we are going to go to Italy. This week it's the story of Giulia Cecchettin. This is a case that shook Italy and it's a bit like back in 2021 in the UK, the Sarah Everard case. Sarah Everard was kidnapped and killed by an off-duty police officer. His name was Wayne Couzens. She was just walking home from a friend's house. This sparked a huge debate in the UK of relating to women's safety and the role that the police have in that. So just like Sarah's killing in the UK ignited something within the women that lived here, Giulia's killing did the same in Italy. And it related more to the patriarchal society that exists in Italy and the role that women play in that. So we'll talk more about that throughout the video, but yeah, let's get started with what happened. Let's start with Giulia. She was born on the 5th of May in 2001, and that makes her 22 years old when this crime took place. She was born in a place called Padua, which is in the north of Italy. It's actually 25 miles west of Venice, and it is stunningly beautiful. And I mean, when you think of Italian, this is the place that you would vision in your head. She grew up there with her mum and her dad and her brother and her sister, David and Elena. Giulia was described as headstrong, caring and gentle, and she was really a loving person. She was also a smart cookie. She went to the University of Padua and she studied biomedical engineering, which joined her two main loves, which was engineering and medicine. Unfortunately, during her studying, her mother actually passed away, and it was in autumn 2022, and she passed away from cancer. This is such a horrible thing to happen to anyone, but also hits harder when it's a young person losing a parent. That didn't stop her though. She continued on her studies. While she was at university, she actually met a guy. His name was Filippo Turetta, and he was studying alongside her. They were actually on the same program, and yeah, they just hit it off. In the summer of 2022, they started dating, and it started off really well. They were really, really affectionate towards one another. Giulia affectionately nicknamed Filippo People in the text messages that they sent one another, and that's what she calls him. But as with most relationships at that kind of age, that kind of mad affection and love that you have for one another at the start of a relationship usually kind of quickly dies down. They eventually broke up. Well, actually, Giulia broke up with him, which is important in this story. That should actually be the end of the story. She broke up with him, kaput, that's it. But obviously, because I'm talking about it today, it's not the end. Giulia was actually able to kind of get over the breakup pretty quickly, obviously, because it was her that did the breaking up. But Filippo was not the same. He took it hard. On the surface, he was kind of okay, acting all right, but he was extremely upset about this breakup. This really bruised his ego, and behind closed doors, he became really possessive and really emotional about it all. He wanted Giulia all to himself, and he started displaying the kind of typical possessive guy behaviours. He always wanted to know where she was. He always wanted to know who she was with, wanted to be there all the time, and he was bombarding her with text messages. So listen to this. During their relationship, on average, now the relationship only lasted for about a year. During that relationship, on average, he sent her 300 messages per day. Now this is mental, okay? But that adds up to over 225,000 messages in 1 year. I'm not even sure I've sent that many messages in my lifetime. Filippo continued to really rely on Giulia emotionally, and Giulia confided in her sister that she felt like she was getting emotionally blackmailed. She felt that Filippo, because he was laying on thick about how depressed he was and how he had thoughts of ending his life, and it was all because of her, because she broke up with him and because he couldn't see his life without her. This was all too much for her. All he wanted was to get back with her. He just wanted to be with her and didn't want any other guy to be with her. He was extremely jealous and was constantly asking her if she had been speaking to any other guys or if she was making friends with any other guys. And it was just making her feel awful about everything. I mean, this was none of his business. They were broken up. Giulia was being way too nice by responding to him, but I guess that was her nature. You know, she just didn't want to hurt anybody. One of her messages to him actually reads, your obsessive methods scare me, people, and people, you're obsessed and a psychopath. But this didn't get through to him. His actions did not change, his behaviours didn't change towards her, and it obviously escalated, and we'll get to that. This crime took place a few days before Giulia was going to graduate. This was a huge thing in her life. She was extremely excited about it. But even though Giulia and Filippo were on the same course, she was graduating before Filippo. Now, I can't really find why this is online, but this certainly rubbed Filippo up the wrong way. They were both doing the same course at university, and she was going to graduate before him, which means she was going to leave university and be away from him, which means he won't have the same control over her that he'd been having. This made him angry, and on top of the breakup, which he did not instigate, it was all just proving too much for someone as egotistical and as controlling as Filippo. Another thing that emphasised Filippo's controlling behaviour, in fact, it doesn't just emphasise it, it shows you how off the freaking chart it was. Filippo had downloaded a spy app onto Giulia's phone so that he could track all of her activity, anything, anywhere she was going, he could track that on her phone, which is absolutely mental. This is just crazy stalker behaviour. So that's a bit of history, and that gets us up to the point of the case. So this is the 11th of November 2023, and Giulia left her home with Filippo. It's not clear who arranged that meeting that evening, but they were together and they were going out to a local shopping centre to go and get some shoes for Giulia's graduation. She had the outfit, she just wanted some shoes to go with it. They both left Giulia's home about 6 p.m. and headed out shopping. They did some shopping and decided to get some dinner together, and they went to McDonald's. This was about 9 p.m. at night. I mean, can you tell how young and European they are having dinner that late at night? It makes me feel very old. They ended up leaving the shopping centre at about 10:30 that evening, and Giulia sent a WhatsApp message at 10:45 p.m. to her sister. Her sister Elena was actually studying in university in Vienna at the time. This message at 10:45 p.m. was the last that anybody would hear from her. So the next day rolls around. Giulia's father and sister and brother had not heard anything from her, which was not normal. They were such a close family. They were extremely, extremely close after the passing of Giulia's mother. They were so close that when Giulia didn't get home and she didn't respond to any phone calls or messages, right away her father, Gino, he went straight down to the local Carabinieri station at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. And straight away, the Carabinieri, the police, the Italian police, they jumped on this case. They were right on it straight away. They established pretty quick on that Filippo and Giulia were together, so it began as a hunt for both of them. You know, it was a missing persons for both of them, because nobody could get in touch with Filippo either. Elena, Giulia's sister, she started a campaign on social media to put the word out to everybody that she could reach that her sister was missing, and begging anybody to come forward with any information that they may have. This actually resulted in a witness coming forward. So this guy came forward, and from the balcony of his apartment building, he said that at 11:15 p.m. he saw a violent argument between a couple. The girl was actually shouting for help, so he dialed 112, which is the emergency services over there. But unfortunately, nobody came, nobody arrived, because all units were busy, and the closest unit was 45 minutes away from that location. And the heartbreaking thing is, this location was only 150 metres away from Giulia's home. So with this information, the police started checking all the CCTV within that area, and what they found was horrible. They found on CCTV from a local factory that they saw Filippo violently hitting Giulia, and when she tried to escape, because she tried to run away, he struck her from behind and then loaded her bleeding body into the back of his Fiat Punto. As you can imagine, armed now with this information, it changed the direction of the investigation for the police. It turned into a manhunt for Filippo. The word spread really quickly within the media and on social media, and there was extensive reporting about this, throughout Italy for a full week. And then it was understood, I'm not sure through more CCTV, but it was understood that Filippo had fled Italy and crossed the border into Austria. Giulia's father, Gino, he did press conferences. He did them in English, he did them in German, Italian obviously, and they were circulated all over Europe in the hopes that somebody would recognise Filippo or his black Fiat Punto that he left in. Unfortunately, on the 18th of November, after extensive searching using lots and lots of volunteers and search dogs as well, Giulia's body was found. Her body was wrapped in a nylon bag, and it was dumped in some sort of cave, it's described as. This cave was within a kind of wooded area that was normally closed in autumn and winter time, so he put her here in the hope that her body wouldn't be found for a long time. An autopsy was carried out on Giulia's body, and she was found to have over 70 stab wounds. I mean, what a horrific crime. At this point, the manhunt stepped up. They now knew the type of person that they were looking for that could commit this type of murder. Thankfully, only a week after the murder, they were able to find Filippo Turetta. He was arrested on the hard shoulder, or the emergency lane, of a motorway in a place in Germany called Leipzig. His car had completely run out of petrol and he had no money to fill it up, thank God. And his first words upon being arrested and being stopped by the police were, "I am Filippo Turetta and I killed my girlfriend." I mean, at this point, he's still calling her his girlfriend. He was then extradited from Germany to Italy and straight to prison. Do not pass go, do not collect £200. It took some time for this to go to court. but Filippo took responsibility for the crime that he committed and was ultimately sentenced to life in prison. A fitting sentence for this horrible, horrible excuse of a man. As I said at the beginning of this video, that this case sparked heated debate in Italy on the issue of violence against women. The tearful and furious interview that was given by Elena, Giulia's sister, in which she said that Filippo was not a monster. He was the healthy son of a patriarchal society. This just added fuel to the fire of this debate that was going on in Italy regarding gender roles. Gino, Giulia's father, has also taken up the battle against gender violence in Italy. After the sentencing of Filippo, he stood up and made this statement. We'll have to fight together as a society. We look ahead and hope another dad won't find himself at my place. He goes into schools and talks to young people about what happened to him and how to deal with emotions and, where to go if you're struggling. He is such a good role model for young men in Italy. Giulia's funeral was attended by over 10,000 people in Italy. That just shows you what an effect this had on the country. It really touched the Italian people. Giulia is now laid to rest next to her mother. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it touched you in the same way that it touched me. It was quite a hard one to research just because of the nature of the topics involved. But if these videos are your kind of thing, like they are mine, then please subscribe for more like this. My name's Claire. Thank you so much for watching. Love you and leave you. Bye!